Umlenen Ablat Gemara. Today's daf is daf Ayin. We are up to the Mishnah. A lot of words on these pages, so let's start. Okay. Now we're still discussing the Ben Sarah Meir and the specifics. Says the Mishnah of Ayin Amad Aleph, top of the page. So when does this Ben Sarah Meir? We established that there's a window of 3 months. There's actually in Machlek in the Poskim. What taka happens that he impregnated a woman, and it turned out to be it'll be a 7-month baby, and she became a parent after 2 1/3 months. Do we say that in this case he's no longer he's a potential av, and therefore he's no longer ben Sarah Murder, or do we say the halach is always 3 months in all situations? Name is a chayv. He has to eat a tartimer of basar. How much is the quantity of tatimah? We'll see in a minute. The yishtin, and to drink chatzi loy. No, he steals money from his parents. Very important. He steals money. He doesn't steal food. He steals money from his parents, and we're worried that he'll do it consistently. One more thing, is not what we're worried about. We're worried he'll do it consistently. So we need things that will attract him. That he's a bal taiva. He's a glutton, and he will continue doing this forevermore, and things will go back and worse. An addiction. But it has to be as well. Another condition will be that it has to buy it cheap so that he can afford it. Remember, he doesn't work as a kid. And he has to be a glutton. No, but these are large quantities. Rabbi says, mana, but double that. Mana basav a mana of meat and a entire leg of wine. If he participated in a chaburas mitzvah, then even though he's not eating what they're eating, he brings his stolen food, but he's eating part of a sudas mitzvah, then we say that's not a habit, it's a one-off thing, and there's nothing to be. And for example, they have nothing to do with actually declaring if it's an extra day or not, but this is the 31st day. They decide to make a big party so everybody will become aware that this month is an extra day, like coming up Chodesh Nisan. Chodesh Adar. Then he says, let's say he stole Ma'aser Sheni money and he bought in Shleim again because it's a mitzvah. It's a one-off thing. If he ate things which are like nevelis, v'treifes, shkotzim, which are actually birds that are tamei, with a masim and creepy crawlies, all of these things are tamei. Again, so the problem is that we'll see in the Gemara that he didn't. It's not the problem is that he's not listening to his parents, he's not listening to the Eibush either. Things which are not kosher. He ate something which is either a mitzvah or something which is an aveda. We'll see later in the Gemara. Let's say he ate anything, stole money from his parents, and he bought food, but he did not eat meat. And we'll see later that not even bird, fowl. It has to be meat of an animal. He drank any liquid, but he did not drink wine. It has to be meat and wine. He steals money, he buys meat and wine. How do I know that? Shenemar, because the pasuk says, that the parents say that our son is a zoil and a soiver. And so what does that prove? There's no real proof that means dafke wine and meat, but shenemar, there's another pasuk where it says that I don't want you to be alti b'seiva yain. I don't want you to be like those who consume a lot of wine, or bezeile basar lamed, or eat a lot of meat. So therefore, we see zoil savor associated with meat and wine. Second one, I would say that tatim is I don't know how much tatim is. There's a cover of by wine. He said, you say half a leg. He says a full leg, and by meat he says a monus. So it must be that the tatikam holds a half a money. Imsa kaifel abbe basar. Imsa tatim. How tatim chatzi money. Now, I don't know what the weight is, but a money is the weight of 100 coins. So he has to eat meat the weight of 100 coins. It must be a lot of meat. The weight, and even the tatikam is 50 coins. It's still a lot. It must be a lot of meat. The Rambam learns here a peldic thing. The Rambam says there's another condition. You have to eat it in one gulp. As a part of the Mefarshim explain the Rambam, Kedei Achil's process doesn't work. Normally we say when it comes to mitzvahs or averis, if you eat it within a certain time limit, different opinions, 3, 5, 7, 9, whatever, 11 minutes, but you have to eat within a certain time. Here, it has to be one gulp. Radvaz argues, and Radvaz says it means what means one gulp, or argues how to learn Pshat and Rambam. Doesn't literally mean one gulp. He says it's impossible. It means non-stop. No, the Achil's process you can eat, wait a minute, and then eat again, wait a minute, and as long as within the time, it's your mitzaref. You combine it. Here, non-stop, like these chain smokers. They light one cigarette and the same thing. When he steals the money, he always has to be able to buy meat cheap. The Yechel Yaim it has to be that something that he can continue doing. Because if he's at full price, how is he going to get so much money for so long? 1 day, 2 days, but how is he going to get so much money? Now, the Machlekes in what does that mean? Bezer? Bezer means that the market is selling for $1 a pound and you're paying 50 cents a pound, or it means that the market itself is cheap. What exactly does it mean? Bezer? The Yish to drink the Chsiv Zoil v'Seider. Zoilel for the word Zoil, cheap. Second, the first one, I'm about Melida. Omar, interesting name, about Moldam is interesting name as well. Omar Huna, in the Chai, what Jechabos a Chai, this the Yain Chai. It has to be raw meat and it has to be raw wine. I mean, you didn't dilute it. The way we're saying right now, literally, raw wine and raw meat. And we say it because raw wine without water is stronger, and if you can get addicted to it, like an alcoholic. So therefore, we're looking for something that is going to attract him to do this on a daily, not just something you do, ad hoc once in a blue moon. So that's the yayin chai and basachai. And we'll soon see what basachai means. Raw meat, how is that going to be attractive? We'll soon see what basachai actually means. Now remember, okay. Anyway, it's not so what but since it's not attractive, raw wine and raw meat. Okay, if he did that, we're not worried that he'll turn into a ben soda moda. Ravina says somewhere in between. Yayin chai means a mozik v'lei mozik. You diluted it enough that it's very tasty, but not too much so it doesn't water it down, that becomes very weak. So therefore it's strong wine and that's addictive. And basar is chai, bashel v'lei bashel, sort of in between. Like this meat here that's singed on the coal, like a medium, like rare meat, so that like another meat. Interesting, we don't use the expression here, which must mean the Ma'acher ben Desai, even though Rashi there says that this particular group of Ganovim, and why Rashi says this particular group, because it seems that different Ganovim have different standards. This one here must be less. Kibbutz Achli Ganovim must be, they put it on the coal, as Rashi describes it here, made sure it got black on both sides, and the outside and the inside was totally raw. Like some people like the steak really rare, that's what it is. And Ma'acher ben Desai is a third cook to Machlei Rashi Rambam is much more than that. Is Ganovim have a little bit more time on their heads. They're more professionals, they knew what they were doing. They didn't have to stand the whole time. Anyway, it must be different degrees. But if you ate meat that you pickled or you put a lot of salt in it, in those days they used to preserve meat with salt, but at the same time it came at a cost because the salt sucks out not just the blood, but sucks out the juiciness and the taste of the meat. So if you ate meat that was too salted for a long time, that was marinated in salt. You drank wine before it had a chance to ferment. Again, there's nothing there to attract you to do this on a long-term basis. So you must know how we learned. On Erev Tishba, according to Halacha, Erev Tishba, a person should not eat two cooked items. Should eat meat, should drink wine. Very interesting. I saw one of the Shainim, can't remember where it says that the din was Erev Tishba, but the women took it upon themselves to stop eating meat from Rosh Chodesh Av. And then one Nachrein says, where does a woman have the right to make this minig and we have to not suffer? We can't have meat for 9 days. What do you mean they made a minig? But one of the Shainim used that expression that the women, can't remember who said this. You'll find it. That the women is the ones who took it upon themselves. Anyhow, but we learned, but meat that is salted is not so geschmack anymore. So therefore, Erev Tishba not so bad. The Shaisa Yayin Megita and drink wine straight from the barrel. What's the definition of Basar Melech? Salted meat that takes away its benefit, it's good, its taste and everything else. As long as like a shlamim is 2 days and 1 night. If you let it remain in the salt more than 2 days and 1 night, it's no good anymore. It took away a lot of its juice, a lot of its moisture. And but if it's less than that, it's all right. And now, very important Rashi here. As you know, there's a big machlekes in the Rishonim whether today there's a mitzvah to eat meat on Yom Tov, and because the Gemara in Psachim clearly says that if Shmuel Levi says that only at times the base of Migdash, Basar Shlamim, but today ain't simcha el b'yayin, only on wine. And yet the Rambam says that there's a mitzvah of eating meat mahatayda, and the state of Tav Kuf Chavtes and other places. So the Magen Avraham in Hilchos Shabbos brings a raya from this Rashi right here. There's a mitzvah mahatayra to eat meat today, because Rashi says here, because normally they say basar, because the basar shlamim is what the mitzvah is. Rashi says here, no, we're talking now Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av must be talking about after the Zman Beis Hamikdash. It's not during the Zman Beis Hamikdash, after the Churban. and during the second Bayis Hamikdash didn't fast on Tisha B'av. So it's talking about the Man Churban. And Rashi says here that the reason why you cannot eat the meat is because the meat is Mesameach Halev. Meat itself. It's not the shalomim. It's the meat that's Mesameach Halev. And if you have the salted too long, it takes away the good quality taste of the meat. So the Magen brings an eye from here. That's Mahat. It's Ein Sechel Basar is Mahat Torah. So everyone asks on the Magen, what do you do with that Gemara Psach? Of course, test it. It says clearly. So the Mashal says a beautiful pshat. The Mashal, the Yam Shlomo says, but Shlomo is saying something totally different. He's saying in the times of the Beis Hamikdash when they had the Karm Shlamim, they didn't need wine with it. They can have the meat alone, drink water, and your Yaitz and Mitzvah Simcha. But today that we no longer have the Shlamim, so you only have the meat as meat, and you have to eat meat, you need wine with it. The two together, no water, no soda. You have to have yayin together with the meat, and the two together make it together. But you eat two together, you still need the meat. That's how the Mashal turns around the Pshat in the Gemara. Anyway, but it's interesting how a little Rashi over here, the middle of Sugban Shemara, teaches you about Yom Tov, whether you have to eat meat Mahat Torah today or not. As long, who tastes as long as it's sort of a vital acidy, it's a bit acidy, then that's good. About time we learn yain taste. We learn that yain taste is if it's acid, it's not good wine. It's there's no even the snake don't even want it. It doesn't have any chshivas or anything else. The kama has a shleishiyam in 3 days. What's the din over here? How long is what's considered yain megite? And how come over here you tell me it's a lot longer? It's like this. Hasam over there, Mishum Simchahu over there, the whole criteria by Tisha B'Av is Simcha. So Kol Man Shehu Kishlamim Nami Is by Simcha. If it's like a Shlamim 2 days and 1 night, if it's less than that, then okay, the meat gives you Simcha. And therefore, that's the criteria. But over here, Hacham Mishum Imshuchahu, and over here, we're saying here, is this attractive enough that it's going to get the Ben Soda might become addicted to it? It's a different category altogether. Not do with Simcha. It's much more than just simcha. It's addiction. Even a little bit, if you marinate it in salt, it takes away the whole thing, and it's no longer addictive as it is. And yain ad mem yain, and wine to be good, to be addictive, you need 40 days minimum to sit there and ferment before you can say turn it to alcohol. Before you say this is real wine. I'm going to talk about wine. The only purpose why the Abishah created wine in the world is menachem avol. And also give the rewards to the Shem in this world, so they won't get any Gan Eden. It says, give wine to the losers, these are the Rishaim, and the Yain L'Mari Nefesh, and wine, old wine, and Yain and wine, L'Mari Nefesh, those are bitter of them. It says, I'll tell you Yain, Kis Yadam, don't look at wine because it'll make you red. Some people drink wine, their cheeks turn red. We also dash from here, we learn in Hichel Yain, in Hichel Shabbos and Pesach, that wine maybe should, talk about the wine itself. Like in a smachta. I'll tell you, because red wine itself is much more chashuv. In Hichel Shabbos, I'll tell the Paschas that if the wine and the red and the white are equal, if the red and white are equal, it doesn't make a difference. You can have white. On Pesach, we say that the red and white are equal, you should have red, unless the white is better. I'll tell you, Shemadim Pnei, because the Taz also gives that other reason there, because of what do you call it? Of the Makas Dam, or because of the Lila Dam and all that you did right. I'll tell you, it reddens their face in this Boilam Haza, or Malam Pnei Haba. Here they have a good time, they feel intoxicated, but then the next world they're losing on it. The end will turn to blood by the Ben Sarah Moida. I've kind of asked a question, talking about wine. It says in the Pasuk, if you read, make one word, Tihi, you should become poor. That wine somehow or another makes you poor. The Korean, but yet we read it, Tira, you become ahead. So which one is it? Become poor or become ahead? Zacha, if you're Zech, you drink wine in moderation, the Nasar makes you smarter. Lo Zacha Nasar Rosh. If you're not Zech and you become addicted to wine, you become poor. Rabbi has a question. It says, so it says, Yishamach, like will wipe you out. The Korean and Yisamach will make you happy. Zacha, if you're Zech and Misamcha, will make you happy. And will wipe you out. So if you get addicted to wine, it wipes you out. I know that wine and smelling good fragrances actually opens your mind, makes you smarter. Who's a pity and who's lost? Who do they fight with? was the conversation. Who get wounded? For nothing. Who has red eyes? What's this puzzle talking about? They come late home because they're in the bars and saloons because of wine. The boyim lachka mimasa. They come asking you, where do I get good wine? He also Ravdimi, when Ravdimi came on, my Rabbi said, so high Kuraman the Dorish lady. So if you want to dash him, they shall say for Midrash. You can dash the way we just said it. Or Masay for the duration Midrash. You can also dash it from end to end. That if somebody comes and asks you for wine, this is what's going to happen to them. These are what kind of people usually are constantly looking for wine. People are looking for fight with others, or people never who are availing and they're in sar, or they just have service. Oh, Dadash Oiva Galiloi from Galil Dashan. Yud Gimel Vav and Nemri Yain. Got 13 Vav written in the pasuk of wine by Noach. By Yochel Noach, Isha Dama, by Yitzhak Kedem, by Yeshua, by Yishma Yain. Look, it says 13 Vavs. In them is the Yatziv. We have the, many more Vavs. But here we have 13 Vavs. Vayishka, B'Terola, Vayar, Chom, Aviknan, etc. Vayagish, Ne'elcha, B'Chutz, Vayikach Shem, V'Yafes, as a similar. This entire parsha there by Noach. V'yisimu al Shem Shneim v'yilcha achrim back v'yichas zevim v'pneim v'yikatz Noach v'yeni woke up v'yidus v'solei but did b'nei cut. We count them. Oh, so Teisha said we don't count above which like Yefes where there's a name to it. Actually, we don't count another above. So in total there are 13 vavs written over there. 13 vavs written over there. And the idea is vav is vai, woe is woe. What's vav? Like we said in the pasuk about oi. So it's vei vei. So that's what the 13 vavs are. No, wine only brings doom and gloom if you drink too much. But what exactly did he do? So he castrated him. He actually had relations with his father. He did it. He thinking that the world will come to them. There's a kilkula. So there makes sense. But because he went ahead, he didn't want to have his father to have a fourth son. So therefore, he thought it would be all kind of fights. He didn't want his father to have a fourth son, so he got punished. That his fourth son, Canaan, was punished. He had relations with his father, and his father was intoxicated. Why did the Canaan get punished? So we see over there is talking about relations, or here also talking about relations. He's Bishlam, and ask a question. That's why the fourth son got punished. Why did he only punish Canaan? Was that there? Okay. Let him curse himself. What it says, curse him out directly, or curse out other children. He did both. And therefore, he was Reveya and he was Sadis. Therefore, as far as the Sadis is concerned, he said, we'll punish the fourth son because that was his intention of that. We didn't punish him for what he did. Why didn't the Teisha really ask, why didn't you punish Chum himself? What did you punish his son for? He's the one who did the Aveda. The Teisha answers, because already there was a bracha for Noach and his children from the Eibishter, you can't give a klal on top of a bracha. Or you didn't want to give a klal on top of a bracha. You should have learned. Says Noach was told off. Why? The first thing you did, you made wine. Didn't you realize the downfall of Adam Rishon was wine? What do you mean downfall of Rishon was wine? What do you mean with wine? There's a big controversy. What exactly was Eitzadas? So one of them was grapes. The Tanya we learned that made was grapes. Now some people don't eat grapes on Rosh Hashanah for that reason. The Adam Rishon was created then, and Eitzadas happened. There's nothing that brings the person down more than wine. A little bit of wine moderation is great for you, but too much wine is terrible. Is wheat. When do you become smart? As we say all the time, is when you taste the taste of grains, and that's why it's called Eitz Hadas, the tree of knowledge. A kid does not know to call father and mother until he tastes grains. And Rab Nechemia says Te'enoi was a fig. He wore later a leaf from a fig tree because that which he caused damage to, he got fixed up. So it says that he wore himself, leaves of the fig tree. And what's the mashal? So Rashi says that just like the fire destroyed Yerushalayim, then later Abisha said the fire is going to be the wall that protects you. Traces, I don't like that at all. Traces, what happened was he was a medrash that every single tree that he went to he wanted to cut the leaves off. They didn't let him. Said, you ruined it for everybody. We should help you out. But the fig tree couldn't say that because he was involved in the Aved itself. So therefore, that's why he had to use that. Very interesting. The next little part. This is that he says that Shlomo Melech says we'll see. This is the words to Shlomo Melech. He was told off by his mother, and he thanked her. What happened here? That Bathsheba took Shlomo Melech while he was king of the whole world, turned him over on the Amud. But she said to him, she was about to give him schmitz, take a belt and give him petch. She said to him, Ma bri, what do you do, my son? Ma bar bitni, what do you do, the son of my womb? Ma bar nidri, what do you do, the son of my nether? Ma be my son, hakol yodim. Everyone knows Shavicha Yerushalayim. Everyone knows his father Yerushalayim. Now what happened was, this was the 7 days, that was the only year that nobody fasted Yom Kippur, because they made a Chanukah Zabayis and Beis Hamikdash. That very same night, Shlomo Melech got married to Bas Pari. And he was drunk. And he was up very, very that night. The keys to the Beis Hamikdash are under his pillow. So when they came in the morning to bring the carbon tumid, they couldn't get in. So they had to wake him up. But who's going to wake up Shlomo Melech? So his mother, Bathsheba, went in. And she gave him a chelik. And you know that we sing every Friday night, we sing Eishes Chayil, the Yimtza. Who is Shlomo Melech talking about Eishes Chayil, the Yimtza? Talking about his mother. Not about her wife, they're talking about his mother. That she had the courage not only to wake him up, but to give him a musar and a chelik for behaving the way he did. She's the only one who had the courage to tell him off for being so lewd and so hefkadis. But try to picture, this is the 7 days of Chanukah Beis Hamikdash. They decided to eat that Yom Kippur, and that night the following night, one of the nights there, this happened. Anyway, so this is what she says to him. This is a musar. Everyone knows your father is a Yoreh Shemayim. And the people say, how could Shlomo behave the way he did? Must be his mother's fault. So people are going to say, they're not going to talk about David, they'll say about Bathsheba, whatever, terrible woman. The son of my womb. All the other wives of David and Melech, absolutely got pregnant. They no longer more interested anymore. I continue to have relations with your father. Why? I want you to be begashmis, healthy. So I took care of your gashmis. The son of my nether. All the other women who married to David Melech, when they had a son, how you know they made a nether. I wish you Haley Ben Hagan the Malchus. I want my son to become the next king. You know what I was davening for? I didn't want you to be the next king. I need a darti Mardi Ben Zodis and Mulba. I want my son to be a Chassid Yerushalayim Lamdan and a Hagan Levius and be ready for Levius. And we had the Gemara Shoshana that Shlomo Melech was a bigger Navi than Moshe Rabbeinu because he was a king and only by Nevi'im. This is what she told him off. And yeah, but interesting that, sorry? It doesn't say, no, Amud means somewhere in the house. But it's fascinating is that Eishes Chayil and Yinsa, everyone thinks talking about the wife, he's actually talking about a mother. Anyway, Ala Malachim Shtu Yain, she said, don't drink like other kings. Ala Malachim to the kings. She said, the Malach ate some Malachim. She said, Ala Malachim, Ala Malachim. She said, what are you being like other kings? She said, Yain Mishtaki. What are you being like all the other kings in the world that just drink all day and they're self-centered? But I'm going to say, Lama Lana Kale. These other kings, the conclusion is, what are they? I'm God. I'm the king. Then she says, La Roiznim. They don't have wine. Whoever all the seekers of the world are revealed to, should drink wine. You are Shlomo Melech. What are you drinking wine for? She's continuing to tell him off. All the Dayanim, the leaders of the world, come to your door. And this is what you are. You're a drunkard. They turn around and he actually thanked his mother for telling him off the way she did. Because Shlomo then said, that I'm terrible and I don't have no wisdom. I'm worse than Noach. He's called Ish. I don't have the understanding even of Adam edition, the Adam edition. That I'm worse than all of these put together, even though they all sinned and everything else for wine. Adam sinned a glass of wine, but I'm much worse. But it's very hard to understand what happened here with Shlomo, his behavior. Until he eats unless he eat in a group that they're all pushtakalim, that they're all lady gays. They have no purpose in life. That means all of them. If you have one person there that's all right, if one person is all right, then if he joins, the Ben Seder joins, doesn't necessarily mean he'll turn to Ben Seder.
Oh, right, I see.
It's a good question. Maybe he was the first and they joined him. But not now we learned we've learned the Kia Yerushalayim, those very special Yerushalayim. They used to sit before they sat down at a meal, they looked around who's there. Sounds like very few people did that. Most people saw food, they sat down and ate. But now we learned if somebody ate the Chaburas Mitzvah and you're not supposed to say if somebody ate in the mitzvah, it's not because the time it says in Mishnah clearly. If he ate the Chaburas Mitzvah, sounds like if the mitzvah, if it wouldn't have been a Sudas Mitzvah, I don't care who's there, he's chayiv. I've got the lav kula sikin. Sounds like even the not. That's more you're right. If it's not a Chaburas Mitzvah and he's stole money and bought meat and wine and he joined them, he's a Ben Seder murder. And we'll soon see this tomorrow. The stages of Ben Seder murder doesn't happen straight away. We'll kill them. There's warnings and everything else. But the chiddush over here is Hakamash and the Bryce. And so here what we're saying here is Afagav the Kula Sikin Kila Mitzvah Kasig Lem Memshech. Here the chiddush is that if it's a Sudas Mitzvah, even if they're all Sikin, because it's Sudas Mitzvah, you're not chayiv. This is what I'm trying to tell you. So Rav Chizda was saying here, and Rav was saying here that when you're chayiv in a non-mitzvah, only if they're all sikin. Sorry, only if they're all sikin. The Midrash is saying here by the Sudas Mitzvah, even they're all sikin, it's a Sudas Mitzvah is different. I would be okay. Remember the boss Yaim Mashkis. You tell me by it seemed like the kiddush that they made by when they had an extra day Chodesh was meat and wine. But time we learned the only thing they brought up to the party was bread and kidneys and legumes. Hakamashulon, that's the kiddush. He was eating different than everybody else. I forgot the ain't their party was made up of bread and kidneys. Pretty simple. The EU and he came to the party with stolen money that he bought Basar Yain. He brought up there, and he ate it. But keeping the mitzvah ka'asik, and even though l'chayda is totally out of place, so l'chayda means he's addicted. But because they're involved in the mitzvah, loy mamshich. It does not necessarily mean he just feels that he wants to be part of these chevri here, these holy people. Doesn't mean that he'll do this consistently. Yeah, exactly. Somebody learn. Ain't other people in this party, the 10 people, they pass dog and the kidneys, bring up the bread and the kidneys, they only come there at night. But the second night of Rosh Chodesh, they didn't declare Rosh Chodesh. Remember, we had a big machlekes. When did they declare Kiddush HaChodesh? The first day or the second day? But here, the purpose wasn't to be Mekadeh. The purpose was to be Farsim that the second day there's 2 days of Chodesh, and the previous month was a full month. That's why it's called Ibuda, Yom Ibuda. This is the day that caused it to become a full month, or like a leap month. The next day will be Rosh Chodesh. You only go up at night. Think about at night. What time you have to go by day when people see you. Of course, you went by night. You told them go up a few minutes before dark so people can see you. And then when you go out in the morning, you go out first thing in the morning, people see you leave. Then they'll realize you were there a whole night. If you come 2 hours in the morning, people will think that if you walk out of the 2 hours in the morning, people think you just came an hour ago and you're leaving, whatever you did it. But if they see you leaving first thing in the morning, that means you were there a whole night. And then everybody know, they're having a kiddush because it's a chiddush. Achrifu pukin, hurry up and go out in the morning. People will find out what's going on. You stole money and from my shayna money, not you stole food. You stole my shayna money and you bought meat and wine and you ate it. Now, you didn't steal the meat and the wine, because then a Ben Seder Moira steals meat and wine from his house or anywhere. He's not a Ben Seder Moira. He has to steal money. He has to steal money and with the money to buy meat cheap. So otherwise, how can you buy meat? If you stole meat, what's the prices? Why? Because everybody sins. What do they do? Everyone does with my money. They buy meat and drink wine. So therefore, it's lavdavk. It's addictive. It's something special about it. If you ate chicken, you don't become a Seder Meira because why? It's not so choshev. And as Rashi says, it's not choshev, therefore you're not going to be addicted to it. We learned so Mishnah says shkatzim are tamid birds. But it must it sounds like the only reason why birds is not because it's treif. Had it been kosher, you would be. So Moses keep now what's like this. if you only ate bird, you don't become Metzora Murder. But remember, we said you have to have a certain amount, a half a mana or a full mana, according to Rabbi Yossi. If you ate the majority of that meat, and then a little bit you had poultry, and that just a little bit means a kazayis. To complement it, then you are chayiv. But if it's straight, then obviously not. What's the mitzvah aveda? Davar mitzvah is tanchumi avelim. The meal that they had for nichem avelim is considered a mitzvah. They used to have a meal. That was a mitzvah. We used to learn. We learned in Ksubas. They used to have drink 10 cups of wine. Dvar aveda. What's Dvar aveda? Tainet tzibur. An aveda is tainet tzibur. Now, two things we learn from here. The big machlekes of nichem avelim is mahatayra midrabanan. Now we're talking here now l'chayda about ben soid mahatayra, and yet you're telling me that mitzvah a meal about tanchumi avelim it takes him out of ben soid murder. Sounds like it's a mitzvah mahatayra to have this meal. It's only midrabanan. How can it take over mahatayra? No such mitzvah. The fact is a ben soid murder. And the same thing, eating a tiny tzibur is only a midrabanan. Tiny tzibur, not talking about Yom Kippur. So tiny is only rabbanan. If it's only rabbanan. And he ate in there, and he ate then. It's varveda. How can you call that aveda mahatrader? So this second one is a raya to those shittas that hold that every derabban is really mahatrader, because it says lo yosur either shalavicha yageitcho. It says lo yosur is machlekes the Ramban in the beginning of the Shroshim whether it's mahatrader or rabbanon. From here they want to bring a raya. It's mahatrader because the trader is taking you out of. We're canceling the ben soira murder because he ate at a tinus which is rabbanon. Must be that the Torah recognizes that this is a tinus. They shouldn't. It's an avera. That's what they want to say. The time of my what's the mitzvah have to do with anything? On my cross says the pasuk, "Einenu by avera, einenu shemeh bekalenu." The only problem is doesn't listen to us. But if he eats when it's an avera, he's not listening to Abraham as well. The kalenu kosher makam. But if he's not listening to Abraham, then it's another avera. Any food, even though it's intoxicating, if you didn't eat meat, these figs from gilas which are very intoxicating, they're dried figs. Nevertheless, it's not a mitzvah. Milk and honey are also intoxicating, but nevertheless, you're not a ben tzara murder, even though it might be addictive. How do I know that? The time we learned, the place called Kilis, he drank honey and milk. The nichlis and migdash, what made you chayiv? Why? Because you're intoxicated. And yet, it has to be meat and wine. But the people's gemara bring a raya that you're not yaitz chicken by a bris milah, you have to have dafka meat, and by a sudas mitzvah, you have to have dafka meat. Chicken is not choshev enough. Others want to say, no, don't do that. Chicken is much more expensive than meat. And the whole idea is that it has to be accessible to you and we're scheduled to do this long term. Somehow or another, chicken was more expensive than meat. And therefore, they say that's why chicken doesn't make you ben tzara murder. Not because it's not choshev like Rashi learns. Interesting machlekes. What have we learned? You drank any drink, you have to drink wine and eat meat. And then it says, it says, don't be like those who say glutton, who inebriate in wine and bezoyle basa. So we see that seiv is wine and zoyle is basa. Lame to it. Yeah, it's a brisa. The brisa is second. Yeah. Well, when it says, interesting. What does it add to the mission? Ki seiv is zoyle yedish. Oh, this is what we're adding right here. Well, this new pasuk. Ki seiv is zoyle. If somebody's that kind of a person that is a glutton and so on, will become poor, the kroyim talbish numa, and the clothes that he wears when he sleeps will be ripped up. In other words, at the end of the day, it'll make him poor because he'll be so addicted to wine, he'll spend all his money on wine. So this is the new pasuk we don't bring before. Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying he doesn't bring in the Mishnah yet. Amar Abzeda, Kol Hayoshan beBeis HaMedrash. Anyone who sleeps in Beis HaMedrash, Toirosei, who forgets his learning, Nasle Kro. Whatever he learned will be ripped apart. He'll remember only shreds. Whatever it says, the Kroyim Talbish Numa. Those who sleep, Kroyim Talbish Numa. So interesting here it says you should sleep Beis HaMedrash. And we have another place in Kindness and the others that you're allowed to, but there it says a snamnim, a doze, a cat nap is not the same thing. And we have a machlekes by him. If you make a mezuzah in the Beis HaMedrash and not Beis HaMedrash, you're allowed to do things you're not allowed to do in the Beis HaKnesses, like to eat and so on. But anyway, sleeping in the Beis HaMedrash, sleeping during a shir is a big shayla. Okay, have a good day. See you tomorrow.